All right, let's dive into something that's quietly changing everything about our digital lives. It all boils down to one single critical question. Who really gets to control your personal data? So, to really understand what's at stake, we first have to get our heads around just how valuable data is today. You've probably heard it called the new oil, and honestly, that's not an exaggeration. Get this. By 2030, the entire world is projected to be generating 500 zettabytes of data. Now, that's a number so big it's hard to even picture, but it's a five-fold increase from where we were in 2022. It's an absolute explosion of information, and every bit of it is incredibly valuable. And that right there is the million-dollar, or maybe trillion-dollar question. In the world we live in right now, it's usually huge companies that collect our data, control it, and, make money from it. But as this tidal wave of data gets bigger and more valuable, a totally new way of thinking is starting to take shape. It's really true. Data is now the essential currency of our time. It's what fuels the entire global economy. So the debate isn't really about if it has value anymore. The real debate is about who gets to cash in on it. So how do we flip the script? How do we put individuals, you and me, in control of this new currency? Well, one of the most exciting answers is a concept called the personal data locker. The easiest way to think about it is like a digital safe deposit box for all your personal info. Instead of companies holding your data on their giant servers, you hold it. It's in your own secure private locker, which means you have the final say. And the process itself is actually really straightforward. First step, you pop all your information into your locker. Step 2, you can grant companies permission to access only the specific bits they need, and you can revoke that permission anytime. And step 3, which is a real game changer, you could actually get paid for sharing it. And look, this is not just some sci-fi theory, it's really happening. In Japan, this is a full-blown national strategy. The government is pushing these so-called information banks as part of a My Data movement to totally transform the country's digital landscape. We're not talking about a small-scale experiment here either. This is being driven by some of the biggest corporate players on the planet. They're all working together to build this new data economy from the ground up. I mean, look at this list. We're talking about household names like Toyota, Panasonic, Sony, Sumitomo. The fact that these giants are all in on this, well, that just shows you how seriously this shift towards data ownership is being taken. And the difference is just night and day. We're literally moving from a top-down model where companies call all the shots to a bottom-up one where you're in the driver's seat. Your data moves from their server to your locker. And the value? It gets shared, not just scooped up by a handful of corporations. Okay, so what does this look like in the real world? Let's take one of the biggest data generators out there, the Internet of Things, or IoT, and specifically, our cars. By the end of this decade, the number of cellular IoT connections is just going to explode, all the way up to 5.8 billion. And a huge, huge driver of that growth is going to be the connected car. I mean, the scale of what's coming is just immense. Companies like Toyota are already building these massive platforms to handle the absolute flood of data that's going to come from tens of millions of future cars. But here's the key. This isn't just about collecting data for the sake of it. The real vision here is to securely share that vehicle information with partner companies to create totally new public services, all while you, the user, stay in complete control. Okay, but for a system like this to actually work, where data from a car in one country is used by a service in another, you're going to need a common set of rules, a rule book that everyone trusts. Because let's be real, data doesn't care about borders. For this user-first model to really go global, you have to have international standards that guarantee security, trust, and, that everything can talk to each other. And that is where you get these initiatives like DFFT, which stands for Data Free Flow with Trust. It's basically a framework to make sure data can move across borders safely and privately. For you, that means your data is protected by the same rules no matter where it goes. And alongside that, you have standards like ISO 27001. Think of that as the universal safety code for handling data. So let's bring this all back to the main event. What is all of this data that you're creating actually worth? Well, how much value are we talking? One consulting report predicted that in the US alone, just the AI applications using this data could generate $150 billion in savings every single year. And that's by 2026. That number, it's just a glimpse of the incredible economic power that's locked inside our data. It's why people call it the new oil. And it's exactly why this question of who controls the pipeline is becoming one of the defining issues of our time. Which, of course, brings us right back to our original question. As all this technology evolves, the keys to your digital life are moving from some faraway corporate server right into your hands. So the question is no longer if you'll get the key, it's what you'll choose to unlock when you do.